Cosmic Chasm, released in 1982 for the almighty VECTREX Arcade System. Sandy Peterson has nothing to do with this game. Nobody is going to get that. Cosmic Chasm places you in control of a digger, and your goal is to navigate the network of caverns in order to reach the planetary defense system. I think that's what it's called. At the start of each mission, you're presented with a map of the cavern system along with your current position. Make note of your starting point. From there, you'll have to use your drill to break through the barriers blocking off access to other caverns, and you'll need to do this before the mass expands and encompasses the whole room. Controlling your drill or tank thing is similar to controlling your starship in Asteroids. You use the stick to steer the tank, and you have a thrust button to move your tank forward. You also have a shield that will deflect enemy drones, though this gets less effective as you advance farther into the game. To drill through the barriers, you'll have to inch your way towards the barrier while holding down the drill button to operate the drill. If you fail to do this, or you run into a barrier too quickly, you'll crash in the same way you'll crash into a wall or other enemy obstruction. You die and lose a life. Once you reach the planetary center, push back on the joystick to plant your bomb, after which you'll have 15 seconds to return to your starting point and thus escape the planet. Fail to escape in time and everything explodes, you lose a life and have to restart the level again. The general layout of the network, as well as your starting position, is randomized each round, and as you complete missions, the overall strength of your shields start to weaken, making it more difficult to hold up against enemy attacks. Cosmic Chasm has an interesting premise going for it, and for what it's worth, the gameplay is generally competent, though the learning curve may vary a little due to some of the odd quirks you'll encounter. In particular, the drilling, which requires you to slow down a bit in order to drill through the chamber wall successfully and not blow up. Sometimes you'll inch your way forward while the drill is active and still blow up. It's happened to me a couple times and I found that to be somewhat spotty. Also, it's rather nice that your driller has dual blasters as his stock weapon and the shots cover a fair distance, but because of the way the shots are fired and because of certain collision detection quirks, it is entirely possible for shots to sometimes whiff through enemies because the gap through shots is so wide and enemies are somewhat tiny for the most part. Also, be sure to remember where your starting point is because the game is not going to keep track of this information. This can be particularly troublesome for networks where there's no direct route to the planet's core, and thus you'll need to take several detours, but planting the bomb and trying to make it back in 15 seconds without a clear path to the exit, or even worse, having to find another means of escape because the room is almost completely enveloped by this expanding mass in the center that will kill you if you touch it. So yeah, it's going to take a couple tries before you start to get the hang of Cosmic Chasm's playbook, but once you do, it's not so bad, and control for the most part is fairly solid. Graphically, there's not a whole lot to say about Cosmic Chasm's presentation. You have a fairly rudimentary map system that greets you before each new chamber, and when it comes to the gameplay bits, the caverns are simple walls while the vehicles are also fairly basic looking. Not a bad looking game by VECTREX standards, but a fair bit of imagination is encouraged. The sound isn't also anything special, they exist, they're not annoying. There is a nice explosion sound if you fail to escape, but that's about it really. It is what it is. Overall, Cosmic Chasm is what I would describe as perfectly acceptable video game fodder. The premise is fairly interesting and the gameplay is fairly solid, though it's got a couple quirks that might keep some folks from enjoying it fully. Still, once you get the hang of it, there's a fun time to be had with this one, and the least you could say about Cosmic Chasm is that it's competently executed. All in all, not too bad.